Most nights don't start with a recipe, they start with a question. What's for dinner? This time we had a side of cod from Costco, a few pantry staples, and some cherry tomatoes that were on their last leg. And this is how they turned into dinner. Stick with me, and I'm going to show you how. So whenever I'm building a meal without a recipe, I start with a few simple questions. I ask, what do I already have in my house? I look through my pantry, I look through my refrigerator. I ask the question, what needs to be used? Then I ask myself, what goes well together? So this dinner started with some cherry tomatoes that were truly on their last leg. We ate a handful of them, but throughout the busyness of the week, they got shoved to the back of the refrigerator and they started to shrivel up. Not all that great to eat on their own, but they still have a lot to give. And this is a great example of how ingredients don't need to be perfect to be helpful. In order to save our cherry tomatoes, something that I like to do is confit them. That is cooking something slowly in oil. So in this case, we grabbed our cherry tomatoes, a little bit of garlic and some fresh thyme from our garden, and we put them into a baking dish with enough oil to cover and into an oven slowly, so that way they could just cook and bubble and just become nice and jammy. They burst a little bit, it concentrates the flavor. They're perfect with fish, they're delicious on their own, and it works to save those cherry tomatoes for another use, saving us money and making something delicious out of it. From there, we had found some cod that was at a really great price, you can see here, for 2 sides, completely pin-boned, completely skinned, ready to be butchered. I know a lot of people who do not want to cook fish at home because it is kind of a scary, daunting task. It is actually much simpler than most people believe, and here's how we do this. We don't have to skin it, we don't have to pin bone it. If you don't know what I'm talking about here, pin bones on round fish like cod are, they're the bones that run down the center of a side of the fish. Those typically are really small and skinny, can be a problem to eat, can be a choking hazard depending upon how big they are. And because we don't have to deal with that, we don't again have to take any skin off, this is ready just to be butchered down into what is called a fillet. You go from whole fish to side to fillet. Fillet is the portion that you're going to eat. So we get it out of its packaging, we dry it off with some paper towel. We want everything to be dry so we're not slipping and we stay safe. And then we take it from the tail end. We find about a portion size there and we cut the tail end off, put that onto a paper lined sheet tray. Then we cut the thing down the center around the pin bone area, and then we break it down into sizes that work for us. Cod is pretty forgiving. And that's why we like it as well. It's inexpensive and it can take some heat. So when things are getting busy and crazy at home, I don't have to be 100% locked in on this. It's also a mild fish. It doesn't have a ton of fishiness to it. It also doesn't stink up the house like a lot of other fish can. Once our fish is broken down, we keep everything dry. We seasoned this up nicely with salt, so that way it has a chance to sit, just like with any animal protein, giving it an opportunity to season in and out. And while that was sitting with seasoning on it, we built the foundation of our dish. In this case, it is a chickpea and artichoke ragout. Derek, what's a ragout? A ragout is truly just a well-seasoned stew of meat and vegetables. In this case, we're using a lot of different vegetables that we have purchased from Costco. We have some chickpeas in a can. We've got some onions. We've got some sweet long peppers. We've got our artichoke hearts that are already marinated in oil. We've bought some lemons. We've got some spinach, and then some fresh herbs out of our garden. A ragout is a perfect way to use up what we have as well. It can handle all sorts of things, whether you've got beans or different vegetables other than what we've got here. It really can encompass all of what you may have in your refrigerator or even your pantry. If you don't have chickpeas, go ahead and substitute white beans. If you don't like beans, go ahead and leave them out. You can just use all vegetables, carrots, celery, onions, whatever you've got. It really does work to cover all of your bases and stretch what you have, especially if those ingredients might not be at their highest peak because they've been lost in the back of your refrigerator. Once that mise en place was ready, we moved over to our stove so that way we could cook our fish. Now again, a ragout typically has the fish or meat cooked into it, and this is going to be just a little bit different. We're going to have our fish as the star of the show instead of cooked in, but we're going to build flavors from the bottom up. So we're going to sear our fish first and then build our ragout in the same pan that we cooked our fish to use up all the fond that we've created. Cooking our cod here, we want it dry and seasoned. We've got our pan on really nice and hot. You can see here I'm throwing a little bit of water in. If it beads up, that means the pan is hot. I am using a non-stick pan here also to double up on making sure that the fish isn't going to stick and completely fall apart. So once your pan is nice and hot, you're gonna throw a little bit of high heat oil in that. We used avocado oil. That'll start to shimmer. You're gonna slowly and gently put your fish in. Don't overcrowd your pan. Once that fish is in, my job is basically to stay out of the way here. We're gonna cook this fish almost entirely on one side, and then we're gonna just gently flip it over right before we're done cooking. So that way we don't overcook the fish, but we get a nice sear, kind of a nice crust on the fish. The only way you're going to really achieve that is by following that order. Dry fish, hot pan, oil, sear on one side, and let it sit. The fish will kind of tell you when it's ready to be moved and flipped. It'll slowly start to release from the pan. Depending upon what pan you're using and the fish, sometimes you need to coax it a little bit with a spatula. Once that fish is done, we're going to move it over to a plate with some paper towel so it has a chance to drain and rest. Now we've got some bits and pieces, some fond built up on the bottom of the pan. This is where we're going to build the next layers of flavor. We added our peppers and onions in, gave them a nice saute, got those sweat down. Then we added some chickpeas and gave those a chance to cook. Once those chickpeas were cooked in, we added our artichokes, and then we added our thyme, our salt, and our pepper. Gave those a nice stir and gave them a chance to introduce themselves to each other. Now, to get that nice, silky, soft, glossy ragu texture, we added a little bit of water and a lid so that way they had a chance to steam. This takes any of the bite out of the chickpeas. It gives all of the different items a chance to cook together in the same liquid and marry together, making it taste fantastic. Once we had steamed that in, we went to finish with some butter, some lemon zest and juice. The butter adds a nice level of fat. The lemon helps bring some brightness to it, helps cut the fat and balance everything out. And then we had some spinach left from Costco as well, and we just threw a couple of handfuls in. Kick the heat off and just let the warmth of everything finish cooking the spinach. I love to be able to plate just a little bit more pinkies up at home to bring the restaurant experience into our house for half the price, and it's great practice too. We're going to take some of that ragu and spoon that down on the bottom. That again is the base of our dish. We're going to kind of go the pile up method here. From there we put our fish on, making sure that seared side is up and presenting. From here we're going to spoon some of those nice blistered confit glossy delicious tomatoes on top. We're going to use some of that confit oil. We're going to spoon that around as well. And then our chives have gone to blossom much faster than we expected, so we're going to pick a couple of those. Got a couple of flowers on there. They're going to bring just a little bit of onion punch to the dish and a pop of purple. A lot of high-end restaurants plate with flowers, so we're going to do the same here at home because we've got them. Sometimes the best meals come from making the most of what's in front of you. Until the next one, we'll see ya.